good evening to you out there on the East Coast. Here I am, having traveled east to west. It is 4:30 local time right here, Pacific time that is, and maybe for some of you, we're lockstep because I know a lot of you on this channel, subscription-wise and audience-wise, aren't in the Maryland area. So welcome in. Glad you could be with me. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore Ravens football content and beyond, Baltimore sports content and beyond. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member. You can go check out the Vault merch line at thevaultpod.com/shop. I'll be rocking that over the next couple days here at Circa Resort and Casino. They have been sponsoring my summer campaign, and they brought me out here for contest weekend, which I'm really looking forward to taking part in with my pal Jake Asman, who covers the Jets, of course, in this YouTube space. More on all of that coming up in just a bit. I purchased Wi-Fi through some Delta Sky Rewards thing. I don't know. I just wanted to know what the hell was going on while I was up in the sky for 5+ hours. And by the way, let me just be very clear, okay? The landing, the final 20 to 25 minutes, yeah. The descent was palm sweat inducing. I was drenched upon arrival, and it was a bumpy ride on the way in, but that's neither here nor there. I'm in Vegas. We got a dinner at Carbone coming up tonight with Jake and his brother. But as I'm sitting there refreshing Twitter, working on emails, working on sponsorships, making sure Sarah has what she needs to go live at noon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode of The Vault in Sarah solo fashion. I'll be back with her on Thursday and Friday. The reports come down about Lamar Jackson. And so obviously we got to talk about this because it dominated the Baltimore news cycle today. And that has everything to do with what caused an abrupt, I should say, exit from Ravens practice today for Lamar. Jeff Zaribek, a number of others in the beat reporter community, noting that with about 40 minutes left, I should say, of practice, Lamar left with strength and conditioning coach Scott Elliott. He was next to him. Team doctors trailed as well. And from Jeff's vantage point and others, Lamar got knocked down making a throw. He stayed in for a few plays, but appeared to be flexing his hand/wrist. Okay. Not long after that, like 15, 20 minutes after that, like literally right after that, a spokesman approaches the beat community and says, hey, Lamar just got his foot stepped on and he's fine. Well, that's different messaging, obviously, that what Jeff and others, including Cordell Woodland, friend of the show, Sarah and I have been lucky to have him as sort of our training camp confidant, if you will, our source, the guy that can give us the boots on the ground perspective. And he joined Sarah earlier today, but this was prior to Lamar going down. So here is part of Cordell's recap that you can find on his Twitter account. He's been doing them consistently throughout training camp. Go hit him up at Cordell Woodland. Here's what he had to say about today's incident.
Back with another Ravens training camp update. Let's just jump right into it. Lamar Jackson did leave practice about 20 minutes early by my count. The Ravens had a spokesperson come to us and tell us that Lamar had his foot stepped on. He left practice early out of precaution, but he's fine. That's what they told us. And that's very possible. I didn't see how Lamar ended up on the ground. I did see him being picked up by Ronnie Stanley, and after that, he did kind of walk around a little gingerly. He's walking in a circle, trying to work the kinks out. I did see him grab that right wrist at one point, but he did continue to practice. He had a few more reps after that. And look, it's important to note that Lamar wasn't having a great day today throwing the ball at all. He did throw a deep ball to LaJohntay Wester after getting knocked down that was completed. I think that was more about the Wester catch, which was a diving catch. Really good effort by him, but it wasn't a great ball. Really good placement, but it wasn't a spiral. That ball looked like a duck in the air, to be honest with you. So, that was the biggest play made after that. But I do have here an inaccurate pass to Charlie Kohler. This is after Lamar had been knocked down. An inaccurate ball to Charlie Kohler that was incomplete. And his last pass of the day was a ball to Keaton Mitchell out of the backfield in the flats. Keaton Mitchell's wide open. It's a layup of a throw. And Lamar like one hops it to him. So that was weird to see. And, Lamar was incredibly frustrated after that. He threw his wristband that was on his left hand. He just tossed it. That was his last rep of practice. So we'll see what goes on with this. Obviously, everybody's holding their breath when it's Lamar because this impacts the season as a whole with him being there or not being there. So, look, I'm not saying that I don't believe what the Ravens team spokesperson is saying. It's very possible that that's the issue because I don't know how he ended up on the ground. So we'll just have to see how this unfolds. But not a sharp day as a whole from the offense in general.
All right, we'll get back to that in just a second. Follow Cordell. He's the man, and he's been really generous with his time on the vault over the last couple weeks. So you heard it there. First of all, Todd Monken, who addressed reporters today, did not see the play. This is what Tylan Wallace had to say about it, who also did not have a front row seat to this play where Lamar was stepped on. Okay, that's what the team's spokesman has reported, essentially, has shared to the beat community. And that's where we are now, aside from the fact that Jeff and many others who are more than credible in this reporter community shared that they felt like he was, kind of favoring his wrist/hand, stayed in for a couple plays. But here's what Tylan Wallace had to say. This is courtesy of Fox Baltimore and reporter AJ Gersh.
At the time, I guess I didn't really notice it. I was in running the plays and stuff. Obviously, I noticed he wasn't there, but didn't know what was going on. But I was thinking like, he's just probably resting his arm, something like that. But obviously, we keep him in our prayers and everything. I hope he's doing great and all that stuff. But I'm sure, Lamar being Lamar, he'll be back sooner before we know it.
All right. So, look, a lot of people are making like declarations, statements coming off what Tylan had to say. The guy isn't even informed in terms of what happened it's all happening so quickly, right? Press conferences are had directly after practice. So it's not like these guys have briefings on it. So I can't get behind this whole like conspiracy of based on past wounds, right, from like the 2021 season, or the fact that Lamar, I believe, told the Washington Post at the beginning of last year that had he been fully healthy, or suggested had he been able to run, suggesting that maybe he wasn't fully healthy in the AFC Championship game. There's no way they lose that. Like, I can't get behind this whole like concealing, withholding types of injury information. Like, there's more out there. I can't get behind that. Sometimes you got to take the team by its word. There's other times where you shouldn't. But this is one of those ones where we're like, well, what else do we have to believe? Yes, there's strange messaging here. The beat reporter community seems to think that, like Jeff notes here, that while he stayed in for a few plays after getting knocked down, making a throw, he appeared to be flexing his hand/wrist. The spokesman comes back out and says, oh, no, he actually just got his foot stepped on and he's fine. Yes, there's inconsistent messaging here, but why all of a sudden do we have to go 10 toes down on believing that there's something that's being hidden from us, that something's being withheld? Like, I don't know why there's this desire to do that. Is it out of anxiety? Is it out of PTSD from the 2021 season? Is it again because of Lamar's comments himself to the Post? I just had to get refreshed on that a couple minutes before going live, and it reminded me that prior to the AFC Championship game, or I should say prior to the beginning of this past season, the 2024 season, Lamar gave an interview to the Post and essentially said, and I have the quote right here, September 5th, 2024, so this was going into the rematch. Here's the quote. How I'm feeling right now, I wish I was feeling like this body-wise in the AFC Championship. We would have won the game. I would have been able to move around for my guys. With me just hurting and can't move, I know if my legs were good, we would have won that shit. We wouldn't even have had to throw the ball. Throwing the ball. Again, quote given prior to the rematch week 1 last year, just in case you needed a reminder of what that actually looked like. I'm not just making it up. This was the post put together by NBC, originally reported by the Washington Post. And there you have it right here. I want to feel it, quote, I want the ultimate award of what I've been busting my ass to do all my life. Why do I bring this up? I just bring it up because I don't know. I'm trying to get clarity in my mind as to why some of you, and I'm not saying maybe there's anybody in the live chat right now. I haven't even looked at the comments section, but based on what I've seen on social media, particularly in the Twitter sphere, it seems like some people have jumped to those kind of conclusions right away. Why? Again, I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with potential reasons as to why that would be the case. So, yes, there's inconsistent messaging. Yes, it's kind of strange. As I mentioned in my live stream title, yes, it's abrupt. But until there's more evidence, I don't know. I can't sit here and back the conspiracy theories. That's where I'm at. More on undrafted rookies 6 days out from 53-man roster cuts. Could there be 2 or 3 undrafted rookies on one side of the ball that make this team? I think there could be. We'll get into that just in a bit in Cordell's final report from today's training camp practice. But first, this episode is brought to you by where I'm at right now. How about the new backdrop behind me? What do you guys think? Brand new banner, brand new backdrop. I got a tablecloth as well. I'm going to be on Radio Row tomorrow and Friday here at Circa Resort and Casino. And if you are not familiar with Ultimate Contest Weekend, that's what's going on right now here in Las Vegas, Nevada. August 21st through 23rd. It all gets started tomorrow. And we're talking about Circa Million and Circa, that is, Survivor contests. That's how you can participate in the Ultimate Contest Weekend. Can you tell that I've been in the air all day? English, bro. English. So it's the biggest football contest in Vegas. You've got a massive $21 million combined in guaranteed prizes. For Circa Million, they're going to give you a chance to pick 5 games against the spread each week. They'll give you 126 ways to win with $6 million guaranteed. Circa Survivor allows for 1 pick a week. No point spread. You last the longest, and if you do, you win it all. $15 million guaranteed. You can enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. $21 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for the details that I have in the show notes. And if you click on the link that I do have in my show notes, it'll bring you on over to Circa, circasports.com. Here's Radio Row, where I'll be broadcasting from on the Vault Thursday and Friday. They got all kinds of activities here. I'll never forget it for the Super Bowl 2 years ago when it was at Allegiant Stadium. I was walking around Circa, and it's just a sports fan's dream. I mean, look at frickin' Stadium Swim, which is literally off to my right now. My room is above Stadium Swim. All I hear is like club-like music. Place is electric. But yeah, look at Stadium Swim. Jumbotrons, pools, bars, you name it. This is my view right here. This is where my room is. It's 109 degrees, by the way, if you were wondering. Water temp is 94. But I'll never forget it. For the Super Bowl a couple years ago, I'm having like an old-fashioned or something off to the side. And I look off to my left, and probably like 10, 15 feet away from me, the CEO, Derek Stevens of Circa, Frank Thomas, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, and Urban Meyer. Yeah, it's a who's who around these parts. And I wanted to say thank you to Circa for another opportunity to work with them on their annual contest weekend. I'm going to Carbone tonight. Jake Asman somehow got a friggin' reservation. I can barely eat Italian. Pray for me. Pray for me. I can barely eat Italian, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Looking forward to this experience. And then like you see here, I mean, Circa's the spot to be. Go learn more about contest weekend at circasports.com. Let's go learn more about today's practice from our guy Cordell Woodland.
Lamar was not great today, even before getting knocked down. And, him leaving practice, as you can imagine, shifted the vibes of the team. You could feel it in the air that things were a little different after 8 leaves practice, no doubt about that. But let's get to a couple of the plays for today. Cooper Rush, I have a play here of him trying to get it to Tez Walker, and a really nice play by Keon Martin making a diving deflection on the ball. Just great effort on that play by Keon. I have a pressure here by Mike Green on Cooper Rush. I also have on the very next play a pressure by Broderick Washington against Cooper Rush. I also have a nice rep by Noteboom blocking Mike Green. Really held up well on that one and gave Cooper Rush all day to throw. It still ended up being an incomplete pass. I have a sack here from Nate Wiggins on a corner blitz, sacking Cooper Rush. I have a great rep here of Cooper Rush hitting Anthony Miller on a slot fade against Armour Davis down the field. That was just a great rep all around. Great ball by Cooper Rush, great placement, great catch, contested catch by Anthony Miller, and just smothering defense by Armour Davis. It's just a better play made by Miller. I have here a joint pressure from Odafe Owe and Mike Green getting to Cooper Rush, who would end up getting the ball out to Myles Gaskins. I also have here Aeneas Peebles and Odafe Owe putting pressure on Devin Leary. One of them tipped the pass. I couldn't tell which one it was. Both of them were in his face, but one of them did end up tipping that ball, and TJ Tampa made a great diving interception on that play. Tampa would also intercept Cooper Rush later on in practice as Cooper Rush is trying to throw a ball to Anthony Miller. I think Cooper Rush probably would have been sacked on that play anyway, but he found his way outside the pocket, made a throw up the sideline, a late throw up the sideline to Anthony Miller, and just a really nice play by TJ Tampa, who had a really good day of practice today. And lastly, I do have a really good ball from Cooper Rush where he hit Charlie Kohler on an out route, and he put the ball right over Jay Higgins' hands. I mean, it was perfectly thrown, perfect touch in the heart of the zone, and it went over Jay Higgins, and Charlie Kohler was able to make that play. So that's all I got for today. Obviously, Lamar.
Man, he continues to crush it. Cordell Woodland, go follow him on X. Sarah and I will continue to have him on for our semi-regular segments on the vault for his perspective on all things training camp. And a couple guys that he mentioned are undrafted rookies, right? Undrafted rookies that got a darn good chance, have a shot to make this team. 20 of the last 21 seasons, there have been at least one undrafted rookie to make this Ravens squad. Last year, of course, was Bo Braid, the safety out of Maryland. Very much on the bubble, you would think, as you start to read the tea leaves coming off his rookie season and all the depth that they have right now in the secondary, particularly a deep safety room. And I get it. There's also been injuries. Ardarius Washington tore his Achilles. Robert Longerbeam and Bilal Kone are down for the year. 2 rookies that they spent day 3 picks on this past April at the cornerback position. Ardarius obviously plays a little bit of both, but is in as a safety roster-wise and was a big piece to their turnaround on that pass defense in season last year. So, okay, undrafted rookies. Let's have this conversation because we did last night. By the way, thank you for the continued support on the Ravens Collective. Jeff Zaribek, Cole Jackson, and I have been really enjoying the process of building that up. And last night was our third edition of the Collective. And I think we may actually have hit, let me just see if we hit 2,000 subscriptions. Have we hit it? Let's see. Because if we haven't, I would love for you guys to help us get there. It's our new Tuesday night show, Ravens Collective. Let's see, on the fly, 1,987. 1,987. So after 3 episodes, not a bad spot to be in. Would love for you guys to subscribe. I'll drop the link right now into the live chat. Appreciate you guys in advance. But back to the undrafted rookies. I think Jay Higgins has gotten a lot of run. He's the inside linebacker out of Iowa. There's other players, too, that have garnered some attention. You know, the Keon Martins, the Ruben Lowrys. There's a bunch out there that are making a case for why they should be a part of this defense. This is more footage here from AJ Gersh of Fox Baltimore. There's Ruben Lowry, Martin getting a little bit of work in. And obviously at this point, these players are trying to prove themselves from a special teams perspective first and foremost, particularly Martin. But man, you see what people are saying about Jay Higgins, and you see the tape that he's put out there the first couple weeks of preseason, his ability to go sideline to sideline, the vision, the college tape and resume, right? Decorated player, Big Ten player of the year. Look at him. Built like a linebacker, plays like a Raven, 49 pops. To me, I might even go as far as to say this dude's a roster lock. Now, after that, the linebacker room gets a little interesting, right? Knowing that obviously your headliner in Roquan Smith ain't going anywhere. And Trenton Simpson, they're going to continue to try and develop him. They just drafted Teddy Buchanan. The one to watch here is Jake Hummel. Jake's your special teams ace. Jake's been around. Jake used to play for the LA Rams, and you bring him in March to be your Chris Board replacement, so to speak, if you will. And Chris, of course, walks in free agency, as did Malik Harrison, two players that logged quite a bit on special teams over the years for the Ravens and a couple different stints for Chris. So I guess the question is, with the roster gymnastics that's about to take place over the next week or so, are you going to cut Jake Hummel after paying him the way that you did? It was nothing crazy. I want to say it was only 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range. I'll get you that exact number right now off the top of my head. Would you cut him based on what you've seen so far through summer camp? Oh my gosh, it's not even that much. Again, my mind is mush right now. Of course, it's not anywhere near that much. It's $1.2 million. $1.2 million for Jake Hummel. So could I see a scenario where Jake Hummel doesn't end up on this 53-man roster? I think I could. Because remember, when you're bringing in an undrafted rookie like A.J. Higgins, not only is that typically team-friendly financially wise, but you're under team control. Look at Chuck Pagano throwing that football. So I think there's a legitimate, and Brian, you're right, thank you, 100,000 of that $1.2 million contract that Jake Hummel signed is what's guaranteed. That's all that's guaranteed, 100,000. So could I see a scenario where they go with Roquan Smith, of course, Trenton Simpson, Teddy Buchanan, and Jay Higgins? You're darn right I could. You're darn right. And that right there, that's going to be fun to watch. But at the same time, as Dre Dog is stating right now in the live chat, and I agree with him, because watch what they've done. Just look at their track record here in recent years. They do like a veteran, like a Chris Board, who they coveted from a special teams perspective, who also, in a pinch, and that pinch came early last year when Trenton Simpson was demoted, can play inside as well. And ultimately, that weak side linebacker, we all know what happened. I don't need to repeat it. The rotation between Malik and Chris. Typically Chris on early passing down, or on passing downs, Malik on run downs. And while that was patchwork, you don't want that. You want a shoe-in. You want Trenton Simpson to be that guy. But clearly, based on the way that they handled their business this offseason, they know, they knew, and they know they needed to bring in insurance, and they did exactly that. Appreciate you guys for being with me tonight on your end. I know it's 7:55 Eastern, 4:55 Pacific. Please like the video on your way in if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. I'm out here in Vegas. It is Circa Resort and Casino, where I'll be crashing the next couple days, and then I'll be extending my stay on the West Coast, not in Vegas. There's only so many nights that you could do here. And yes, Ravens Wired Smitty is in 5 minutes, so I'll probably be wrapping up shortly. But I'm going to be extending my stay and popping over to up to Lake Tahoe to visit my cousin and her fiance and her sweet little daughter. So looking forward to just the next few days being out here, soaking up a networking opportunity, soaking up the West Coast, soaking up really the last few days, the dog days prior to regular season football. And then I'm going to be down in St. Pete before I know it. I'm heading down to St. Pete Labor Day weekend, and looking forward to just everything to come. So let me know in the live chat, what's your count? What's your count of undrafted rookies that make this team 6 days from now? It's the 26th. It's the 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern that all 32 teams must have their rosters solidified. Who's it going to be? I really like Jay Higgins. I really like what Ruben Lowry's done. I like Keon Martin too. There's a lot of deep rosters across the league, the Philadelphias, the Detroits, the Baltimores, the Kansas Cities, that have this kind of problem. It's a great problem to have. I think it speaks to the personnel department. And that's not just Eric DeCosta, but who he employs beneath him, that understand as area scouts what it means to find diamonds in the rough and how to find those diamonds in the rough. I mean, can I just give you guys a reminder real quick of Jay Higgins' resume at college for Iowa? Okay, first of all, 6 foot tall, 224, from Indiana originally. Played his college football, 4-year player at Iowa. Okay, 5 years actually is what he ended up playing. Started in 2020, hard to believe. So he played a lot of college football. He was the Big Ten linebacker of the year in 2024. I may have misspoke earlier. I said player of the year. Linebacker of the year was Jay Higgins. He was a unanimous All-American and a first-team All-Big Ten player in 23 and 24. This guy's a beast. And you watch him play, the vision that he plays with, the confidence, the processing ability that then turns into playmaking. He's an old-school thumper, man. He's fun to watch. I can't wait till Sarah has Jason Smith from Huddle It Up Films on the program on the vault side of things coming up on Monday when I'm traveling back, because he thinks very highly of him. And he thinks he could be the third most talented linebacker on this team. We're not talking special teams. And I probably shouldn't put words in Jason's mouth without actually going to look up word for word, but I thought it was something along those lines. For real. So let me go pull it up now. And by the way, Jason will be coming on the vault, just to be clear, on Monday. Pressing the line of scrimmage, scraping, taking on blocks, gap integrity, positioning, instincts. He's really advanced for a rookie. Hope he makes it. Might be our best will right now. Okay, he thinks that he might be the best weak side linebacker right now. That's rich to say prior to preseason, but that's what Jason Smith's got his sticks his neck out there. All right. Huddle It Up Films. He'll be coming on the program. I look forward to that. I also look forward to 2.5 weeks from right now, when the Ravens and Bills square off in what will be a rematch of last year's divisional round game in Buffalo. This time it's also in Buffalo. Ravens-Bills, Sunday Night Football. In the first chapter of revenge. Yes, there's more to learn about whatever the hell happened today with Lamar. And just in case you're just tuning in, we did spend the first 15 to 20 minutes speaking on this. But just in case you came by for it, Lamar left practice about 40 minutes early, according to Jeff Zarebek and many others out there on the scene reporting, with strength and conditioning coach Scott Elliott next to him and team doctors trailing. Lamar got knocked down making a throw That player who knocked him down has not been revealed. And for his sake, I kind of hope he doesn't get revealed because he will be ridiculed. That's just how it goes when I'm sure you accidentally knock down your franchise quarterback. Anyway, Jeff noted that he stayed in for a few plays after being knocked down, but appeared to be flexing his hand/wrist. And yes, the predictions in terms of who knocked him down are flying in. And the first couple guesses that I see are offensive players. In my mind, I was thinking like, a defender got all excited. Like, wasn't Shamar Stewart drawing an ire from Bengals Nation a couple weeks ago or who was it? Somebody got like thrown and the momentum carried him into Joe Burrow during a training camp practice recently. Well, he's a defensive player, as we all know. The guesses that are immediately entering the live chat, which shows you where the temperature is right now on the offensive line, or immediate offensive linemen. Of course, Daniel Fa'alele got at least one vote based on what I'm seeing right now as I glance back and forth. And of course, Ben Cleveland received one as well. Do you guys think that there is a scenario? Is there a scenario where Ben Cleveland does not make the Ravens 53-man roster? Jeff Zarebek on the Collective last night wouldn't go as far as to predict that, but he did suggest the scenario as a possibility. Would you be alarmed if Ben Cleveland, in an effort to chase youthfulness and consistency, would you have a problem if Ben Cleveland is left off this 53-man roster? And at this point, where does the big surprise, if you forecast 6 days from now, right, in this forecasting, projecting-wise, who do you think could be the biggest snub? What's the biggest surprise? Probably would be Ben Cleveland, right? I mean, Mike makes a good point. Depth is what Ben provides you. He hasn't provided you consistency, and he certainly hasn't provided you consistency off the field. It was an offseason to forget for Ben. Not only the DUI lingering over his head, but an ugly divorce that played out publicly through the media. I think TMZ had a few articles on that, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure it's one that he wants to put behind him. But I think that would be a surprise. At this point, the way that Jay Higgins is playing, be a surprise if he doesn't sneak his way into this 53-man roster. Those would be mine. What say you guys? I'll defer to something Jeff noted about Ben Cleveland recently, and we played it on the show for you. And it was from the Collective. Do I have it handy is the question. Where is it? Here it is.
I think there's a major disconnect right now between how the organization and Daniel's teammates feel about him and the job he does, and how outsiders perceive the job he does. I mean, outsiders think he's absolutely the worst player in the NFL. I mean, let's get that. I don't know how the Ravens went to the AFC divisional round last year with Daniel Fa'alele starting. I just don't know how they did it. It's amazing that they overcame that guy playing right guard. That's kind of how we're all acting here. I think some of the criticism has gotten over the top, guys. I'll be honest with you. Do I think there's some flaws in his game? Absolutely. Do I think he has some god-awful reps? Absolutely. And I think that's the big thing with him. He loses big, right? It seems like, like that one, as Cole documented, it wasn't one bad rep, but it was one really bad rep where, a 380 80-pound man got thrown on his back and, maybe tripped over Corey Bullock a little, but he still was in full retreat mode by the time, he tripped. But here's what I would say. One, I don't think there's a better, they've clearly deemed that there's not a better option on the roster. And the disconnect is, with Ben Cleveland too, because he's played okay in the games. I think the Ravens fan base, who so badly want Falele out there, act like Ben Cleveland's been David DeCastro when he's had to play, or Marshall Yanda. He's been okay when he's played. I mean, let's get that straight. He hasn't been great, but he has been plenty serviceable. And there's been less of sort of those plays, those terrible reps that kind of stand out like Falele's had. But, they just don't see the consistency with him in practice, and they don't see the get up and go. Let me make a huge impression here. And, there's only so much I could say because we're not allowed to say who's taking reps where. But Ben Cleveland has this whole thing. He hasn't gotten a shot at, he's taken first team reps this summer, right? And even if they're at left guard, those are first team reps. And these guys are evaluated every day. So I sort of would push back a little, but he's never gotten the chance. Ben Cleveland's been in the building now for 4 years. He's had plenty of chances to win that job. They clearly see him as a backup. They don't see him as a starting caliber player, and he hasn't done anything to change their mind. That doesn't mean he's not a valuable player to them. Cheap veteran offensive line depth who are serviceable when they get in there are valuable players. So I'm not going to crush Ben Cleveland, but they don't see him as that. And you could say, well, they should all you want, but they're the ones in the building evaluating him every day. Now, I just think they feel like Falele has upside that Ben Cleveland doesn't. I think they feel like they've won a lot of games. They won a lot of games last year with Daniel Falele. I think they feel like he did far more good than bad. I know the bad tends to be what people kind of gravitate towards and put out. I talked to Tyler Linderbaum today, and he's not one for overstating stuff. He said Daniel Falele has Pro Bowl potential, and he said he's the best guy they have at that spot. John Harbaugh has said that. Eric DeCosta believes that. So, they're not in the business of trying to lose games. This is based on their evaluations. And, you look at some of the metrics from Pro Football Focus, and Cole was kind enough to pass some of these along yesterday. And, they kind of suggest that Daniel Falele is a little maybe average or a little slightly below average. And I think most people would agree with that. If he's your fifth best offensive lineman, I think you're good. I think you're going to be okay. Yes, there will be some bad reps. Yes, if Steve Spagnuolo, gets him one-on-one against Chris Jones in a big spot in week 4 or 5 or whenever they play, you don't like that matchup. Look, this is the nature of the salary cap era, guys. You can't have a stud at every position. There are going to be spots where you go with a young player, you work around his flaws a little bit, you hope he gets better, and you feel like he's plenty serviceable to do the job and help you win games. And that's clearly where they are on the Daniel Falele front.
Good stuff there from Jeff on the collective. That was last week. Thank you guys for being here. Over 700 concurrents right now between Twitter and YouTube. So needless to say, glad you guys can spend some time with me. Like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Look, with all of that said, I think that was a really fair way of describing where they're at right now at right guard. And it would surprise me, given how serviceable Ben has been in gameplay. I know he got knocked on his butt last week. That's probably at the top of some of your minds, but he has been a serviceable, versatile offensive lineman. And by the way, based on what he signed earlier this offseason, after the DUI, I believe, is how it all went, he's cheap. And like Jeff said, that's of value with the experience that he brings to the table, given how other guys outside of their projected 5, right? You got a bunch of rookies. You got a bunch of players that are unproven and inexperienced up and down the line outside of, a few players. So that would make Ben Cleveland's would-be potentially snub of this 53-man roster 6 days from now, in my mind, definitely a surprise. Now, speaking of offensive linemen, Andrew Vorhees has been putting together a nice camp, and he is your starting left guard, just as he was a year ago. Then goes down with an injury, and who comes in? Well, Patrick McCary. Door was open and then shut by McCary. Here's Todd Monken earlier today, Ravens offensive coordinator, talking about what he's seen from Andrew Vorhees.
Him and Ben competed well. And, I'm excited for Andrew, and I'm excited for all of our guys. But I'm excited for Andrew. Essentially, think about what he went through a few years ago, and then to come back and basically red shirt and then start off last year and then get dinged up, and then we went with Patrick. So I'm excited. He's come a long way, and his best football's still ahead of him.
Guys, I feel like I always need to remind everybody, maybe you don't need a reminder, but if you don't or if you do, I'm doing it anyway. And Vorhees, if not for the ACL during his pre-draft process coming out of USC, this is a player who would have heard his name called well earlier than the 7th round, when the Ravens literally wrapped up their press conference on day 3 and traded back into the 7th round. They had already finished their 2020. Let's see. At the time, it was their 2023 NFL draft was already finished. Then they traded back in and went and took a flyer on Andrew Vorhees. 6'6", 320 out of USC. Redshirted that rookie season. And then, of course, got injured last year. The door opened for McCary, and Patrick shut it. Goes and gets a nice contract in free agency this past offseason from Jacksonville. But as for Vorhees, I just expect this play. I think this is a player that I am excited for him, because we haven't seen a lot of him. But what you do see is just a sturdiness, a consistency level to Andrew Vorhees. And so when you look at this projected starting offensive line, Ronnie Stanley, left tackle. Left guard, Andrew Vorhees. Tyler Linderbaum, center. Daniel Fa'alele, right guard. Roger Rosengarten, right tackle. I feel a level of comfort. And maybe that's because of what Lamar Jackson's able to mask week in and week out. But I do feel a level of comfort. And to think this time last year, there wasn't a lot of that comfort, because Eric DeCosta was clear and honest with us and honest with during his media sessions, that essentially said, hey, we are in the middle of a rebuild and we're going young. Pretty darn good offensive line performance over the season, even in that effort to go young and rebuild. Now, again, a lot of this is what Lamar Jackson minimizes. He minimizes weakness. He makes others around him better. We've watched it time and time again. And yes, from a penalty standpoint, Mike, you are correct. They were heavily penalized last year. Ronnie Stanley was heavily penalized. Patrick McCary was heavily penalized. I want to say they both had 11 each. 11 each. That's got to get cleaned up. That's got to get cleaned up in a hurry. Hey, I wanted to let you know, just give you a little bit of a glimpse into what life is like right here. I should just shift my camera around, but for lighting purposes, I won't. I'm looking at the Strip, which is a few miles down. I'm at Circa Resort and Casino, which is about 10, 15 minutes off the Strip. It's my cup of tea. It's my speed. Stadium Swim is this massive pool area down here with jumbo screens and everything you could possibly want. People everywhere. And let me just give you a view. Let me give you a little view. Not of my outfit tonight to Carbone. Ain't going to get that. How about the 7 DMs? 8 DMs. Should we click over here and see who's DMing me? No, I'm not going to do that. That would probably not be in my best interest. Now, would it? I am curious, though. 8 messages over there. What do you think? Hinge? No. Can't be Hinge. Okay, first of all, stay on task, Bobby. Stay on task. You can do it, bud. Hey, first of all, Bobby Baltimore is where you can follow along. I just dropped the link to the Instagram if you want to follow. If you want to, I don't know, follow my every move. How about that in terms of what I have coming up over the next couple of days? But anyway, this is what's going on. First of all, this morning on my way out, yes, it's first business to tend to at Circa, and then extending my trip, go hang out with my cousin Katie in Lake Tahoe. And here is a look at my room overlooking Stadium Swim. Got to show some love. Circa Las Vegas. You can find them on Instagram. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with all this space. Little Jack and Jill style walk-in shower, mirror pics galore. There's the desk where I am right now. Little couch, sofa area to chill. King-size bed. And now, this is where it all goes down. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Vegas Central. That's Stadium Swim. And that is where I am literally listening to club music right now. All I hear in the background is oonce. I'm not complaining, but oonce, 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 oonce. That is the room where myself and I will be crashing over the next couple of days. Just myself, right? It'll be just me every single night. Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And hopefully you guys will tag along on Instagram at Bobby Baltimore. Egg me on a little bit. Lots of activities coming up over the next few days. And then it's on to Tahoe. And while you're at it, maybe, just maybe, once I get my first old fashioned in me, I'll start mixing it up in the Discord server. I know you guys are getting a kick out of this. The live chat, by the way, has a pinned comment with my Instagram. Or what did I put in there? Is it Instagram or YouTube? Or Discord? I don't even know what it is. But anyway, the Discord server is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. And folks, we are closing in on 1,000 members, which I'm very excited about. We just hit the 900 number earlier. And this is where everything goes down here. Ravens football chatter. You get a welcome update and a shout out when you join, like Impatient Snake, who became member number 904. We talk Maryland Terps, athletics across the board. Orioles baseball. How about Basayo? Guys got some talent, huh, Sammy? Samuel Basayo? Looks like the boys paid a visit to Jimmy's, Gunner, Jackson, Colton. God, look at these guys wearing their golf polos. That's hysterical that they all wore golf polos. But anyway, it's a great place to hang out with other Ravens fans, other Baltimore sports fans, and myself in more of an informal way. C King hit me with a super chat earlier on. Appreciate you, C. Whoever smelt it, dealt it. Ronnie helped him up. Ooh. Do we know that? Where did you see that, C? Was that one of the articles out there that Ronnie helped him up? Meaning Lamar Jackson? Going back to our earlier conversation, which is probably why a lot of you are here. Over 700 concurrents at the moment. Thank you guys for spending some time with me. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Follow along over the next few days as I pull out of my inner, what am I saying right now? Pull out my inner West Coast Bobby. You guys are hysterical. Oh, God, I'm just scrolling up to get caught up on everything. Yeah, you guys are getting a kick out of this, aren't you? I got a 6:15 dinner reservation. It's currently 5:18 Pacific time over after 8 Eastern. So hopefully you guys are doing great. Sarah and I will be back with you tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I got to get my ass up. Let's go. Appreciate you guys. And thanks to Circa for this awesome opportunity to work yet another contest weekend here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll catch up with you guys soon. Like the video on your way in. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll catch up with you guys soon. I will be up to only good here in Vegas.